Hey, so this is Chad Meekoff here. Again, I am the coach of Rehoboth Christian High School track and field, and so I'm developing my discipline policy document here um, that may or may not be organized in the right way. It's a bit of a brainstorm of things I've already learned from I think it was Coach Taylor or Mr. Taylor, the Dean of Students, and then also from the lecture from Coach Penner. So a lot of things I'm learning, but also things that I've already implemented that I'm trying to put onto paper here. I think a part of the growth that I can have as a coach is having these documents like the game plan and this in place that are written out. But I will just kind of talk about what I've done so far, and that's kind of written here. An important note to start is that COVID has definitely impacted this year. We know that it's impacted schedules, and the NMAA, the New Mexico Activities Association, kind of put it on the schools themselves to decide what happens to kids in terms of eligibility, just because we know their stories better. COVID hit our area pretty badly, pretty severely, and so the NMAA kind of decided, well, it's up to the schools this year. We're not going to put any stipulations on sports. So that impacts discipline, right? When we have to figure out, well, is more excused that would normally not be excused. The family issues are different. Sports schedules were different. We had fall sports pushed into the winter into the spring, and spring into the summer, which was track. And so multiple sport athletes had to work on those transitions. And and then lastly, COVID has influenced the work ethic of athletes and their fitness. A year and a half now maybe of just things getting canceled and a lot of sitting at home and a lot of, I'm sorry, this isn't going to happen this year. It really kind of turns the rhythm off in a lot of athletes that so importantly needs to continue throughout high school as far as discipline on their own goes. So I just wanted to throw that in there. Probably took too much time talking about that. I'm going to kind of read through these. I came up with a coach's must list. And I think that we need to foresee the types of things coaches will deal with in a track and field setting. It's good to look ahead. What are the things I can think ahead about? The difference between pain and injury, scratching events or pulling your load that the coach assigns you. I need to be able to understand and have a relationship with my athletes so that I know, are they really hurt? Are they manipulating the system so that they can get out of practice or get out of events on meet day? That is always a huge kind of daily, maybe on a smaller level of discipline, but a frequent thing. Work ethic and practice, but then demanding participation at meets. Maybe the work ethic is low, but they really want to participate and be at the meets. That's these are developmental things, not necessarily disciplinary. But we need to be thinking about how we handle those things because they can start to get bigger. Attitude around teamwork versus individual success, that's huge on track. How are you competing and working hard individually and caring about your individual events, but having the mindset of a team and the togetherness of a team. And then we have to be looking at grades, be adamant about making sure kids are taking their academics seriously first. And then also alcohol, smoking, drugs, those kinds of things, they need to be thought of ahead of time. How am I going to handle this? So just foreseeing things that come and being ready for that. Have trust built up and relationships fully developed and maintained on the team. Super important. It helps with sitting the athlete down, which I'll talk about in a bit, but we need to make sure that relationships are happening and are good and are healthy. Follow sternness and intensity with a certain amount of affirmation and fun. I have to remind myself daily, I'm here to push them. I got to be stern at times, but that means I have to also show the personable side of me, that we're here to encourage and have fun and laugh with them as well. Know that grace is tough love at times. Teach the life lesson while sacrificing the immediate success. That's a hard thing for a coach, but it's a good daily reminder. Ask the athletes, do they want to grow? What are their goals? How am I holding them accountable? How do I coach that specific athlete? And then to hear the athlete's story. Listen to things that could be causing their need for discipline. I need to know, well, why are you in this situation? Not just, here's the situation, here is the consequence. That's why it's hard sometimes to come up with the list of consequences. I need to hear their story, and I need to treat them as we learned earlier, as a child of God, an image bearer of God, so that there is growth and not just shame in that situation. Policies and expectations: to show up to practice at 3:30 and begin with the warm-up routine before coaches arrive. Get in and get out. Let's go to work. Let's do it intensely and meaningfully with focus and intention. Let's get the students home. And I like to communicate that with parents. That's what we're about. We're going to get in there and we're going to get out. People have lots to do. Athletes are expected to communicate with coaches about absences ahead of time. Communication is a huge deal on my teams. If you talk to me, that makes a huge difference. Even if I don't like what you're talking to me about, the fact that you're communicating is huge. At meets, athletes are expected to stay and cheer on their teammates, even if they do not have an event for the rest of the day, unless their parents communicate something else. Just another little kind of rule that I like to create team, to create growth and kind of culture as a team, to stay and cheer each other on. It's not about just you and then you leave. And then to honor God and give Him the glory for the privilege to train and compete. Some daily best practices: coaches' meetings about athletes' behavior and ways to move forward. If needs be, we do those meetings anyway, because we have a lot of events and relays that we're talking about, and orders that we put kids in, and who does what leg and all that. There are meetings happening anyway, and those little meetings should also talk about how do we handle attitude here, or behavior here, or lack of communication here. Coaches sit down with athletes or have a chat on the field when there's a missed practice without excuse or communication. Start by talking to them and having a serious conversation that we notice what's going on, that we notice they're not there, and that we need them there. The team needs them there. All athletes are taught to communicate with their coaches no matter what. You are committed to the team, and the team deserves that communication. We know life happens. It is your job to communicate and allow coaches to make decisions accordingly. 3 missed practices without any communication are grounds for dismissal. Even if there were excuses, I would say, communicate that. I need to know where you are and what you're doing. And some kids just have a really hard time learning that lesson. When communication does not happen, or we feel that is being taken advantage of, we begin to receive that as the student's lack of commitment. This is subjective and calls for special attention and discernment with each athlete. I think, subjective again there, because there's no objective answer to why a student is acting or behaving the way they are. I'm going way too long, and I apologize for that, but I do want to just get all this in. Just some philosophical thoughts. If I believe I'm coaching them the right way and putting the best work in for the best growth, then students who are not fully bought in will not get those results, or will not necessarily reach the potential that they have. Sometimes coaches need to force instruction. I get that. We don't just say, well, you're not going to get there. We have to kind of force them to get there to see potential. And we need to make some decisions for them so that they can get to a spot where they go, oh, okay, I get it. Thanks for doing that. And other times they naturally will see and learn from suffering a natural consequence. And again, depends on the athletes. Not all are expected to have the same results. And not all are expected to work as hard when we have different levels of athleticism and things like that. A lot of times the speed of the learning and growth during these moments on our team is a developmental thing that students get better at and begin to understand as they get older and stay on the team. We are here to work hard, be focused, have fun, and honor God. A very straightforward approach is something I think helps students understand that they are fully welcomed and will always be shown love and grace, but that there will be natural consequences. And then lastly, if grade checks don't meet NMAA and school standards, then students are immediately ineligible. And that's just, that's just straightforward and has to happen. And then a foundation to work off of are these four things. Can the coaching staff handle the situation through talking with the athlete and making a plan? Or two, shall I involve parents in the issue? Good relationship with parents is a great thing. Let's talk about your child. This is what's going on. How can we make some changes? And what can I do differently? Shall I involve the principal or AD in the issue? Do we need to go to the athletic handbook for maybe grade stuff or alcohol, smoking, those kinds of issues? Does our school counselor need to be involved? Sometimes we're ready to discipline, but it may be beyond our expertise in terms of understanding the emotional, psychological side of behavior in children. So maybe our school counselor should be involved. Those are things I should always remember are at my fingertips and use if needs be. Thank you.